Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another installment of Pit Pass Network interviews. Today we got Landon Lewis, driver of the number 17 Chevrolet SS for McGowan Motorsports in the ARCA Menard Series. So thanks so much for joining us, Landon.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so you're just coming off a victory in the ARCA Menards West race at Portland, and you beat out Xfinity drivers such as Cole Custer, Riley Herbst, Parker Retzloff, Kyle Sieg, and Dylan Lupton. So I guess walk me through your race, as it was a wild finish to say the least.
Yeah, definitely a wild finish for sure. We started off the race, qualified on the pole, so that was really good, and able to get track position was really important. So, especially at a track that you can't pass at, you can pass, but it's very tough to pass just because it's a tight racetrack. So, qualified on the pole, we led to about lap 15. We pitted. We ended up pitting under closed pits, so we had to get put to the tail end of the longest line, which kind of set us back a little bit, but made the win a little bit more bittersweet. We ended up making our way up to third. Caution come out with 6 to go. We were able to, on the restart, we were able to get up to second. And then another caution come out with 3 to go and was able to take the lead on the start, was able to get to turn one. Cole Custer got on my inside. I was able to cross him back over, and I was able to take the take the win from there. So definitely a really challenging race, really fun race, and there was never a dull moment for sure.
For sure, yeah, that's very awesome. And what part of the track would you say is your favorite turn?
I'd say probably the chicane turns 1 and 2 would probably be my favorite turn, just because you drive it in so deep, you turn, you hit the curve on the left, and then you come off really hard. So definitely, probably one of my favorite corners on the course.
For sure, and also that win kind of got a monkey off your back because uh in the previous three West Series races you finished second, and then your one main ARCA Menards race you finished second. So I guess walk me through the vibe this week of the race shop with getting that monkey off your back.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the vibe around the race shop in the last couple weeks, honestly, has been just everyone has been digging down really deep to, get that one spot better. And we've had speed every track we go to. We've led laps in every race. We've qualified on the pole 2 times now. So we've had speed, we've had potential to win every single race. Just that one spot short we were looking for. So definitely the vibe around the shop was very happy. Everyone was wanting to go win. So it was definitely everyone was really determined going into this weekend. And when we unloaded really, really fast. And I felt like we'd be really good just because the road course stuff I fell in love with. And so they were really good there last year at Portland. So I knew we would have a good shot at winning. And once we qualified on the pole, it just made it even better. So definitely the vibe was just everyone was really happy and ready to hopefully get a win that weekend.
Yeah, for sure, that's really cool. And would you say what would you say has been your favorite road course you've raced on so far?
My favorite road course so far, I'd probably say Sonoma. Sonoma has just been really awesome just because the elevation change, turns one, you drive in super deep, get to the top of the hill, the car gets really light. So definitely Sonoma is definitely probably my favorite track I've been to so far just because of the elevation change.
Yeah, for sure. And you're in the entry list this weekend for the ARCA Menards West race at Sonoma. And you're going to be racing those same Xfinity drivers I mentioned before, but then additional Sammy Smith's also racing it, and also a Cup driver Ryan Preece and truck driver Jack Wood. So how pumped are you to race against all those competitors?
I'm very excited to race against, like you mentioned, the names, just because the experience it's going to be in the field. There's going to be 30 cars in the field. So there are going to be a lot of cars, a lot of experience, a lot of tough competitors. So definitely going to be challenging, but it's going to first definitely make us want to go win harder. And if we do win, it'll be a really big win for us again.
For sure. And I saw on the entry list that William Sawalich is in the entry list, and I've seen that you're close friends with him. So I guess what kind of sparked that friendship?
Uh, I actually raced with him in the legend cars, and I kind of started to be friends with him from there. And then I went over to their house a couple of times and been really close friends with him and their family, and they've really invited me to their family. And I'm really close with his sister, Sam Mayer, which is her boyfriend, his mom. So really close with their family, and just a really nice kid, and honored to be friends with him for sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. And you mentioned Sam Mayer as well. I've seen that you're close friends with him as well. And then Leland Honeyman. So I guess you kind of touched on Mayer a little bit, but how did you get friends with Honeyman as well.
He's just friends through Sam Mayer, and when I went over to their house, he was actually there, and I've heard of the name before, but just kind of through that their friendship.
Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. And I would say, for this Sonoma race, how beneficial is it to be coming off? You raced the same race last year, so how beneficial is it to have that experience into this race this year?
Super beneficial just because we've been there before. We were really, really fast there with Bruce Cook and all the guys. And I have really high hopes going in. Not high hopes, just what's the word for it? I have very a good feeling about going into this weekend just because we were really good there last year. I like this course. It's one of my favorite courses. So I feel like we're going to be really good there this year. And hopefully we can have the same results as we did at Portland.
Yeah, for sure. And then we touched on your Portland win, but your other career Arc and Menards West win was at Bakersfield last year. So I guess explain to me how you got the job done that day as well.
That was my first ever race with Bruce Cook and all the guys on the Chevrolet Bruce Cook team. So that was my first race with him, and we went out with a bang. I ended up getting the win, so it was just really cool. That whole day was really nice because we had really good speed all day. Ron Hornaday, that was a really special race to them too because that track was in Bakersfield, where they're from. So where not where they're from, but where they raced at a lot. So it was a really cool race to win and awesome track for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Ron Hornaday. You drive for his development program. So I guess what got you into that program?
So I met Ron when I was 12 years old. My dad actually got in contact with his daughter about getting a dirt modified that Ron Hornaday was building at the time. And so I ended up buying one of his dirt modifieds from him. And he actually showed up to the track to watch me one day, and he said he's seen something in me. So ever since then, it's just kind of been really close with them and their family, and they've kind of invited me into their family and treat me like one of their own. And so I live with Ron's daughter now, and actually go work at the shop every day with them. So definitely that's how I got started with them, and I just can't thank them enough for everything they do for me.
Yeah, for sure. That's very cool to have someone like that. He's a Hall of Famer, just have giving you all the pointers. And I guess what would you say is the greatest pointer he's given you over the years?
I think the greatest pointer and the greatest saying he's ever told me was it's and something that sticks in my head is you have to learn how to lose before you learn how to win. That's definitely something that stuck with me because you'll lose a lot more races than you'll win in your career. So that's something that I've had to understand, and I feel like that's helped me a lot in my career for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I also saw that Kevin Harvick's been one of your supporters too. So how did Harvick get in the scene in your racing journey?
So I work with Joe Ryan Race Cars on the Legend Car side, and the team I run Legend Cars for, and his son, Kevin Harvick's son, Keelan, it ended up getting hooked up with us and started racing Legend Cars for us. And I kind of started driver coaching him and helping him, and so that's how I got hooked up with Kevin Harvick. And Kevin's been really huge in my career too because I can call him if I need any questions about tracks I go into, tracks he's been to. So Kevin's really huge in my career too, and I can't thank him enough. And it's been really an honor to work with his son, and he's definitely going to be one to look forward to in the future.
Yeah, for sure. And Kevin Harvick's a cup driver now, but is there any other cup drivers over the years that gave you pointers? I know Hornaday was a cup driver too, but besides those two?
There's been a couple drivers that I've talked to at the track that I've asked questions and stuff about, and asked questions about. It depends what track I'm at. I can ask questions about. So there's definitely a couple more that I've talked to besides Ron Hornaday and Kevin Harvick.
Okay. And do you remember the drivers?
Yeah, I talked to Ryan Priest before about a couple things. Justin Allgaier, which is not a cup driver, but I've talked to him about a couple things. Sam Mayer. There's been a lot of people that I've talked to that helped me out for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's very awesome. And your first career win overall came in the Arca Menard Series in September 2021 at DuQuoin State Fairgrounds. And you led every lap that race, and beat out guys like Ty Gibbs, who's in the Cup Series now, and Ken Schrader, who's won 4 Cup races. So what was that moment like for you as you were only 15 years old at the time to like race against those names and such?
Very special moment in my career for sure, and definitely Probably one of my favorite wins to the date, just because racing against Ty Gibbs at that time, Ty was on a big streak of winning a lot of races in the ARCA series, and getting a race against Ken Schrader, someone that you hear that name, you're like, wow, that's a big name, and able to race against him, and actually was able to talk to him before going to that race about a couple things on that track because he's been there before, and so be able to beat him, and not even beat him, just race against those two big names was really huge in my career, and definitely will be probably one of my favorite races to date.
Yeah, for sure. And the Coin State Fairgrounds, if anyone doesn't know, is a dirt track, and you ran the dirt modifieds the previous year in 2018 and picked up 6 wins that year. Would you say that dirt experience was a big reason and factor you won it that day?
Definitely didn't hurt my shot at winning that race, just because dirt racing, it's not one groove that you go around. There's multiple grooves. The track's changing every lap, so definitely didn't hurt my shot at winning that race, because the track did change a lot that day. I remember it was raining a lot the day before, so the track was really, really wet, so you had to drive it really, really hard to be able to get around the track. So definitely didn't hurt my shot at winning that race for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess people that don't know you, walk me through your background in racing, what got you into it.
So I'm a fourth generation to race. My family has been involved in racing since before I was born. And then growing up, I grew up at a racetrack at Myrtle Beach Speedway. That's pretty much from the day I was born. I was at the track watching my dad race, and so I got into racing. My dad got a go-kart, got a four-wheeler, and tied it together and kind of pulled me around a parking lot. And ever since then, it's just kind of stuck with me. And I tried to stick in ball sports and did that, but racing is just something that stuck out to me, and I couldn't get away from it. And so I've been racing since I was 4 years old. Started in go-karts, ran go-karts until I was about 12, and then I got into dirt modifieds like we talked about. And then after that, I got into legend cars and started racing legend cars, and still race legend cars to today. And then it got into the ARCA series last year. Or yeah, at my first race, obviously I won at the coin race. So I've been racing since I was 4 years old, and I just love it to today.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really cool journey there. And what was your very first car number? Do you remember?
My first car number was 99. That's something that I still race in my legend car, but that's something that I've always raced, and that's definitely my first, obviously, number that I started.
It's very awesome. Does 99 have like any meaning to you, or just a random number?
Yeah, so 99 has been in the family a long time. That was my dad's number. My dad's original number was 31, and his dad started racing with him at the same time, so they couldn't be the same number. So he switched to 99, and then I kind of took it away from my dad, and then that's how 99 come up.
That's a very cool story. And what what racing series did your dad race in?
So my dad raced in Myrtle Beach in the late model class, and then he ran a couple ARCA races before then. But he mostly ran at the late model class at Myrtle Beach, and that's what my family did for forever until it closed down 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's very cool. And so going back to earlier this season, actually before the season even started, you had the opportunity to test at Daytona. So I guess walk me through that experience, as Daytona is probably the largest track you've raced on, because or like people your age have like limits of where to race. So you got to do that test, and Daytona's one of the most historic tracks. So walk me through that day.
That day was something that I will never forget. Just because that time I didn't know I was going to get in the car until the next day. I think a Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember the day. But I was supposed to get on the car on the next day, and I was able to get in the car the day before. So I really wasn't expecting to get in the car, and I was working on the car, and while someone else was driving it, and Bruce Cook looked at me and says, "Go get your stuff on," and I'm like, really? Like, go get my stuff on? And he's like, go get your stuff on. And so I'm like, I'm in the hauler, I'm changing, like, holy crap, I'm about to go around Daytona. This is going to be awesome. And so I got in the car and got on the track, and I got heading down the backstretch, and I looked at turn three, and I'm like, all right, there's no turning back now. I got to go through this corner wide open. So it was a really cool experience for me, and able to experience going around Daytona at that fast 180 mile per hour was just really cool, and something that I'll never forget forever.
Yeah, for sure. That must have been one of the coolest experience you've ever had. in your lifetime. So and then recapping your season so far, you've raced in 6 total NASCAR races, 4 in ARCA Menards West, 1 in ARCA East, and 1 in the main, and you've either finished 1st or 2nd all of those races. So you've shown lots of speed this year. So would you say having another year under your belt, like, because is a big factor because last year you participated in 8 West Series races. So do you think just the experience is helping you this year?
Yes, experience is definitely helping me this year, and going to some of the tracks I've been to before is helping me too. But this year being with Bruce Cook and all the guys on the team has just been awesome, and we've really turned the page this year for sure, and we're able to. Like you said, finish second 4 times in a row. And so the team confidence is there and everyone's just gelling really well together. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here.
For sure. And I guess walk me through how did the opportunity come about with Bruce Cook?
So Ron Hornaday, he ran the Truck Series, and he was running at KHI with Kevin Harvick. And Bruce Cook was the crew chief for Kevin, and he ended up crew chief and Ron for a handful of races, and they ended up winning 3 races in a row. And so Ron knew Bruce Cook and knew Bruce had an ARCA team, and so he felt like that would be a um, really good, like I guess, gel for me and a person to work with, just because Bruce has worked with so many young drivers. So went over to his shop one day and ended up getting a race together, obviously at Kearns County Speedway. And so that was our first race together. And ever since then, we've just worked really well together. And I can't thank him enough for giving me the opportunity to run for him.
Yeah, it's very awesome. And then going back a couple years back in 2021, you won the Legend Card trifecta of dirt, asphalt, and road course nationals. So I would say that makes you a pretty versatile driver because you can basically race it fast in like all different types of tracks now. So out of those 3 disciplines of racing, dirt, asphalt, and road course, which would you say is your biggest strength right now?
Definitely I mean, biggest strength, like, I don't know, like road course is really fun. I'd say my favorite thing to do, like out of those three, because my strength, I feel like is, I guess, pretty good in all three. I'm not bragging on myself, but I've had really good success in all three of those different styles of racing. But my favorite for sure would probably be road course. Obviously, oval is really fun, but the road course is something that I fell in love with here in the last year, because it's something that I don't come from, and it's always something different. You're going left, you're going right. There's curbs that you can make the car turn around. So definitely road course is something that I fell in love with, but obviously oval racing is something that I've always enjoyed doing.
Yeah, for sure. And road courses in NASCAR is becoming like a theme now, or like they're adding so many now to the top series. So, um, if I know the goal for every driver is to make it through the top series, so if you do, have the opportunity to race all those, so that'd be really fun for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
And then last season you got to race for Bill McAnally, in the ARCA Menards West Series, and he has 2 current truck teams. So what would it mean to you if Bill offered you a truck ride in the future?
It would mean the world to me. Just having an opportunity to run a truck, even for one race, would be just a dream come true to get to run in one of the top 3 series. So definitely would be really cool, and just only the future will tell.
For sure, and I guess, over the years, what racetrack's been your favorite you've raced on, so far in your career?
My favorite racetrack would probably be Dover. That I raced there obviously a couple weeks ago, and Dover is just so fun because it's really fast, high banked. You don't really, like, you catch yourself not breathing because it is so fast. So that track is just awesome, and I can't wait to hopefully go back there next year to run.
For sure, and they call it the Monster Mile, not or for a good reason, so,
Yes, sure.
um, and then what racetrack, would you most want to race at in the future? You haven't gotten to race at yet.
I probably racetrack that I would want to run at would probably be like Bristol, maybe, or maybe like the mile and a halfs, like a Kansas or a Michigan or Pocono or something like that. That would be really, really fun. Obviously, I want to run at Daytona in a race. That would be really fun just because the drafting and all that aspect of it. So those are probably a couple of tracks that I would really want to run at in the future.
For sure. And then preparation for races, do you go on iRacing often?
Yes, so I go on iRacing a lot to prep for, going to Sonoma. I was on iRacing a lot because they have that track on iRacing. So it's the closest thing you can get to real life, and it not only helps you get around the track, but it helps you learn the track, learn the different curbs, even on an oval, learn the different seams, bumps around the track. So it helps in many ways. But I also hooked up with Driver Refined. Joey Coulter helps me a lot prep for races, and I get on a Zoom call every week before a race and go over different things of things I need to look forward to going to that track and different little things to keep my eye out for.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned Joey Coulter's program, so I guess how did you get into that?
I got hooked up through Team Hornaday development. Candace Hornaday was really close with Joey Coulter and was able to get hooked up with him, and he's just been a huge help to my success in racing, and I can't thank him enough either.
Yeah, it's really cool. And um, besides iRacing, what else do you do the week before to prepare for races?
I try to keep my mind right, keep my mind focused on racing. That's very huge, just because racing is a very mental game. I stay in the shop and work on the cars, so obviously it keeps my mind focused on racing. Also, I run a lot. I do a run during the week to keep my mind right. But that's about the only things I really do besides obviously prepping with Joey Coulter, running, and doing iRacing.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned running. This is a little off track, but have you tried cross country and track in high school?
Yeah, so my beginning like high school, I ran cross country, which was really really fun, just because I like being in the outdoors. So that was really fun, just because you get to see different things in the nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I was just curious because
Yeah,
I was a cross country runner myself. So,
nice, awesome.
um, but and then during races, obviously the car handles differently during races, but and it's really impossible, like it's really hard to get neutral. But would you prefer to race a car loose or tight if it's not neutral?
I'd probably prefer to be tight, just because that comfortability and to drive a tight car, you have to make it turn. You have to drive it really, really hard. So I prefer to be tight, but obviously you can't focus on that too much, because one day it could be tight, one day it could be loose, and it can never be perfect. So you have to learn how to drive both sides.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like I looked through your results over the years in the Arkham Menards West, East, and Main series, and um, I feel like you're really durable with finishing or being able to finish the race. Like I only saw like maybe like one DNF, so I guess is that like Ron Hornaday's coaching, like because patience is a big thing in racing, so I guess is that part of it?
Yes, Ron helped me a lot with patience, and just finishing the races is more important in my opinion than winning. Obviously, the wins will come, but finishing the races, if you finish all the laps, you're able to learn a lot, right? And you're able to you know take all those laps in and gather that and take it to the next race. So if you don't finish all the laps and you end up getting wrecked every race, or you don't finish any race, you'll never be able to learn anymore. So I feel like winning races is very important, yes, but finishing the race is more important, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Especially with you're still 17, so you're learning a lot and such. So
Yes, sure.
and then this I know this happened to drivers before. I don't know if you experienced this yet, but have you gone through a race before with a broken air conditioner?
I have actually at my race at DeCoin. I had an air condition or had a air condition in my car, and it did actually end up burning up because of the dirt ended up getting inside of it and clogging it up, and it actually ended up burning up and getting into my helmet. So it kind of hurt my eyes a little bit during the race. So I have actually had that happen. I've had power steering go out before at Salem when I ran that race. So I've had some incidents that aren't fun, but it's part of climbing into the car and part of the risk you take.
Yeah, for sure. And I mentioned about car handling before with loose and tight, and I forgot to ask. are you more of a hard on entry guy or slower on the entry type of guy in turns?
I'd probably say I'm a little slower entry and focus on like the exits, which sometimes can hurt me because some tracks are you don't need to be like that. So I'm definitely lighter on entry, harder off the corners. That's definitely my driving style.
Yeah, for sure. And then what would you say is your greatest strength and greatest weakness in racing right now?
Mm. I don't know. I feel like my greatest strength in racing probably would be like being focused and never counting myself out, right? Always being I wouldn't say like always just never giving up. I don't like to give up on anything I do. So that's something that I feel like is my greatest strengthness. And then maybe my weakness would probably be um just like maybe managing my tires a little bit. Sometimes I struggle with that in the races, and some I have to learn that. Obviously, that comes with time and experience. So that definitely my greatest is and my weakness for sure.
For sure. And then out of all the series you've raced on and experienced on so far in your racing adventure, you mentioned earlier it was like late model and ARCA and then dirt modifieds and all. What race or can you remember you came back from like last place and then won?
So I actually had a race last year in Florence, South Carolina for the South Carolina 400. I ran a legend car and I qualified second, was running second and actually getting up into an incident and getting involved in a wreck and actually had to go to the back of the field and there was 20 laps left in the race and there was a 25 it was a 25 car field and I drove from dead last to the lead with 2 to go and ended up winning that race. So that definitely be the highlight of my career driving from the back to the front. And it was a really special night because Dale Earnhardt was there and all the fans were there for him. And I had all the fans on their feet and screaming and yelling. So that was really cool.
Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. And I saw on your website your favorite driver, Cup driver, is Kyle Larson. He's one of those drivers that I've seen a quote where he actually prefers to start in the back because of the validity of just passing so many cars throughout the race. So that's really cool.
Yep.
And then and then you mentioned Dale Earnhardt and Richard Petty is one of them too. They're both from the same state as you, North Carolina. So I guess what does it mean to share the home state with those legendary names?
It's pretty cool to share the home state. Obviously, there's a lot of drivers from North Carolina and in the Charlotte area. So it's really cool to share that with them just because North Carolina is known for the home of racing. So it's really cool to share that for sure.
For sure. And so growing up, uh, like Charlotte's one of the tracks near your hometown, or what tracks did you watch NASCAR races growing up?
The tracks I watched NASCAR races growing up would probably be I watched Darlington. I went to Bristol a couple times, but Darlington was probably my main one. And then I watched at Charlotte Motor Speedway.
Do you remember like how many different races you've watched, or how many races you've watched in your childhood?
I watched a handful of races. I probably say like 10 or 15 races, probably.
What would you say has been your your favorite race you've watched?
Favorite race I watched is probably at Darlington. That's always just a really good race, just because they're up on the fence and hitting the wall and stuff like that. So I'd definitely say that was probably my favorite race to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I'm assuming that's like a dream track for you to race that. That'd be like a home track.
Yeah, that would definitely be a home track for me, just because it's about an hour away, an hour and a half away from where I'm from. So that would definitely be a really cool track to race at in the future.
For sure. And what would you say over the years been your favorite racing memory thus far?
Favorite racing memory. Wow, that would be a tough one, but I'd say like this weekend was just a really cool weekend. Just because 4 seconds in a row was finally trying to find that win, qualifying on the pole, won the race, and having everyone down there in victory lane just so happy that we finally got one this year. So I'd probably say that was one of my favorites, and there's obviously some more that I can't think off the top of my head, but definitely this weekend was really cool victory.
Yeah, and then just in the top of my head, I'm thinking, like, what was like the spark of you wanting to be a racer?
Just because my family has been involved in racing all their life, and I felt like it was meant to be to carry on the tradition and keep the family tradition rolling.
Have you ever had second thoughts of like wanting to do something else, like during your time racing?
Not really, just because racing is just like I said, it's been involved in my family forever, and it's all I really ever known. So I definitely haven't. Obviously, I did baseball, I played basketball, I did the other sports, but just racing always stuck out to me, and I just couldn't never get away from it.
Yeah, for sure. And um, what would you say over the years been your favorite paint scheme?
Favorite paint scheme would probably be my paint scheme right now is a pretty cool one. I ran a car at Sonoma. It was a purple car, purple and white car, and that was just a really cool car just because purple is a pretty cool color. So I'd probably say this year's paint scheme is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then um, would you say or like you mentioned you did basketball and the other one was baseball, I think. What was besides racing, what other sports do you enjoy watching on TV and such?
I enjoy obviously racing. It's very cool. Obviously, that's about the only thing I watch, but I also watch basketball a little bit. I watch baseball a little bit, but mostly racing is the only thing I really watch.
Who are your favorite basketball and baseball teams?
Favorite baseball team would probably be the Braves, and then my favorite basketball team would probably just be the Lakers are one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, it's very cool. And then who would you say been your biggest inspiration throughout the years?
My biggest inspiration would probably be Ron, just because he's just a great right NASCAR top 75 driver, Hall of Famer. He's just an awesome guy, down to earth. He come from nothing. You know, racing was his only way out to make money and to have a living. So racing, Ron, he's just an awesome guy. And just like I said, down to earth, and he's probably my biggest inspiration to keep going and racing.
Yeah, for sure. That's very cool. And then do you have any siblings or pets?
I have I have four dogs, and then I have a sister that's 10 years old.
That's very cool. What are you the youngest or oldest of oldest? Nice. And then and then what dog breeds?
I have a golden retriever. I have an Australian Shepherd mixed with something else. I have two golden retrievers, so that's those are my dogs that I have.
Yeah, that's very cool. And and then outside of racing, what do you enjoy to do in your free time?
My free time, I like being in the outdoors. I like hunting. I like fishing. I just like being in the outdoors in general, just because nature is really cool to me and it's very relaxing. You know, you walk outside and breathe in the fresh air. It's just really relaxing.
Yeah, for sure. It's very cool. And then I guess now we'll end with some fun questions I have lined up here. So I guess the first one is have you ever been overseas?
Yes, I have been to Italy. I actually went to Monaco and was able to see the track there. I've been to Italy before.
That's very cool. And then I guess besides Italy, because you answered that, this is like a second question kind of related. Where would you relocate if you were forced to leave the USA?
Oh, that'd be a tough one. I'd say like maybe like somewhere down like towards the Bahamas. That's just an awesome place just because it's beautiful there all the time. The weather's nice, the water's perfect. They have really nice beaches around that area. So it's probably somewhere down into the Bahamas, down like maybe Aruba or somewhere like that.
For sure, that's very cool. And then what is on your bucket list?
Bucket list would probably go, I don't know. I I've been to Alaska before. I probably like to go like maybe like obviously this is like out of the book, but like Antarctica. It's just really cool there. It looks really cool there with all the ice and snow and stuff like that. So I probably say Antarctica, but that's just like way out there.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, that's a real unique answer there, and I like that. And and then who is your all-time favorite Disney character?
All-time favorite Disney character would probably be Goofy, just because he's hilarious and there's never a dull moment.
For sure. And then do you have over the years any nicknames?
I have a couple of nicknames. I have one's River because of my middle name. They call me that. I have one that's Nino. I have one called Landino. It's just a lot of different, like, I guess O's and that. But I have a couple nicknames. Yes.
That's very cool. And then where did the that middle name come from, River?
So my mom actually went to like a rapids and was doing like a tubing thing, and so she didn't know she was pregnant with me at the time, and she actually found out the day after. So that's kind of where the middle name come from, because she was obviously on a river pregnant with me, so it just kind of made sense.
That's a really cool story there. And then what is your all-time dream vacation?
All-time dream vacation would probably be live in the Bahamas for a couple weeks at a time, just because, like I said, I like beautiful weather, I like the beach, I like the water. So I definitely say go in the Bahamas for a couple weeks and just be by myself.
For sure. And then for wings, bone-in or boneless wings, and then your favorite flavor.
I'd probably say, man, that's a tough one because I eat both a lot. I'd say boneless wings, and then my favorite flavor would be mild or honey barbecue.
That's awesome. And then favorite ice cream flavor.
Mint chip for sure.
Yeah, it's a go-to. And then favorite music genre and favorite artist and song of that genre.
Favorite, I'd say country music is probably one of my favorite. Morgan Wallen is one of my favorite artists, and he has a new album out now that I really like. And I'd probably say Outlook is pretty much like an outlook on his life, and it kind of reminds me of a little bit of my life for sure.
For sure, yeah. Morgan Wallen's probably one of the definitely the top country artists right now.
Yes.
And and then with the theme of music, do you know how to play any instruments?
No, I do not. I attempted when I was
Yeah,
younger to play guitar, but I just didn't follow through with it.
for sure, yeah. Just having that racing in your blood is probably a better
Yes,
better option there.
for sure.
So I guess wrapping up now, everyone at Pit Pass Network, in the end of each interview enjoys uh, to donate to a charity after each interview. So I guess, is there a charity you would like to highlight for us today?
Yes, I would like to donate to the Kevin Harvick Foundation, just because they help kids that don't have the same opportunities, that want like don't or what's the word? How am I trying to say this? They help people realize their potential and give them courage to like pursue their dreams. That's something that I like to do with kids, because a lot of kids don't have the same opportunity and have the same opportunity as I do. So I would like to donate to the Kevin Harvick Foundation for sure.
For sure, yeah. Just love giving back to the foundation, so that's great. So
Yes.
yeah, thanks so much, Landon, for joining us.
Yes.
And
Thank you guys for having me, and hopefully we can do this again.
yeah, it's been very awesome, and wish the rest best of luck of you for you the rest of the season, the years to come.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.